So lately, it seems like the hot topic with a lot of truther communities, or at least to me, anyways, it's been brought up at least, I don't know, I've heard RH negative being brought up at least 6 different channels, talking about where did they come from? Who are these people? Are they the elites? Are they the people that are destroying us? Are they evil? They must be, because you know what? The Queen is RH negative. And all of the propaganda from Ancient Aliens, they've done 2 episodes, 2 full-hour episodes to tell everybody who RH negative people are, to implant in your head who these people are, that they're not humans, that they're from another galaxy, or they're the people that are coming back on Nibiru, And then you get these that, it's thrown out everywhere that the Queen's RH negative, and so is Brad Pitt, and then, President Trump is, and JFK is, and, I don't know any of their doctors or any of their lab technicians that have taken any of this information down to prove that any of those people are any of those, of what blood type they are. I have no proof, neither do you. The only proof that I actually had about who RH negatives, who was not RH negative, was JFK. That was the only one I had. I still do, I just don't know where it is. His enlistment papers, where they actually took his blood type down, and it said that he was positive, not negative, he was positive. But on every Truther channel, you're going to see that he is RH negative, because that's what they say about everything. And isn't it rather interesting that the people who are propagating this kind of thing about RH negative are the ones who say that they are RH negative? Like, who owns History Channel that keeps on saying that these people are not from the earth, we don't know where they come from? Who propagates that? Who owns that? What agenda? What is the reason behind why they want everybody to look at RH negative people right now and look at them in a certain way? I'm going to use an example here, but please don't crucify me for this, because I'm not comparing myself to Jesus, but I am going to say this was done to Jesus by the Pharisees, right? Everything that he did that was positive was turned negative. And they said that Beelzebub was the reason why he was doing it. Satan was the reason why he was curing people and raising them from the dead and doing all of the miracles. He couldn't be doing it because he was God incarnate, Jesus Christ, our Savior. He had to be doing it because he was evil and from Satan. That was what they said about him, about our Savior. And they've always vilified his people in one way or another. His true people were always vilified. They were always told, hateful things about them, so that other people will point their finger at them, they'll go after them. And it's kind of interesting when you think, well, why would the elites do this for themselves? Why would they be pointing the finger at themselves, saying that they're RH negative? Well, for one thing, we know, if you have done any research whatsoever, you know the big plot, the big plan, the things that they are doing that is against mankind, that is against you. And so at this point, a huge portion of the population dislikes them and wants to get rid of them, hate them, because of what they've done to people and how they've hurted us and how they've hurt us. So we don't like these people, right? And if we can get a hold of them, boy, so many people would like to get a hold of those elites. I hear it all the time. I hear it all the time that people want to, what they would do to them. But in the meantime, what they're saying is what they want to do to the RH negative crowd. The RH negative crowd. Can you get a hold of Donald Trump or the Queen? Can you go and actually hurt them Or are they so protected they're out of your reach? Okay, so you got to think about this. Why are they putting the target on people who are Rh negative? Because they're not putting the target on their back. They cannot be touched. We cannot, I don't care how good of a shot you are, you're not going to get them. For all we know, they are in a bunker, 5 miles underneath the ground. I mean, we can't get to these people, but they sure have put a bullseye on the forehead of Rh negative people. So the reason why I'm talking about this is actually a subscriber went through some of my old videos, and he asked me some questions, and I thought that was really, really good, because this has been on my mind. I've seen it so much lately, this talking about Rh negative people. And they are different, and we are different. I am O negative, that's who I am. We are different than the average person. We have so many things that are just come natural to us that other people work for, like seeing spirits or visions. And don't even get me talking about our electrical system. That becomes quite interesting study in itself. Or the shape of our eyes and the color of our eyes. Actually more the shape of our eyes, because Rh negative comes in every single nationality, every single color of the rainbow, because that's the way God made Adam. He made him with everything in him. And so when Adam was made, everybody had it. I believe that the reason why you mostly see it now amongst the Irish and the Scottish and the blue-eyed, green-eyed, blonde, redheads is because they're the last one that haven't been hunted as much through the centuries. And the target's on our back now because the elites and the TV shows are all talking about us and separating us and making everybody wonder. And then if you go, there's just, honestly, if you go and look on YouTube and you start searching Rh negative, you're going to find some really hateful things about us. Really hateful things said of what they want to do to us, not necessarily about us, because the propaganda machine has really worked. It's really allowed people to, even on the truther, all of my people that I listen to, that I love, like Zen Garcia and Rob Seba, and I think even Jesus Freak Computer Geek kind of talked about this. Where does this come from? I've seen it on so many different truthers and Christian sites talking about us. And it's never in a positive way. It's never in an encouraging way. It's always, what are they? They're the danger. They're the elites. They're the poison. And when I first started investigating Rh negative, I'm kind of, strange and weird, and I do things in a thorough way most of the time. And so I joined every single Rh negative page that I possibly could, and I did surveys amongst them, and I just, wanted to know who these people were, wanted to know, I'm hearing all of this stuff, and I'm Rh negative, and I know what I'm like, I know what my personality's like. I'm a truth seeker. I don't like lying. I care about people, and I take care of people mostly. I take care of other people. I'm kind of it's not always about me. I never really do anything for me, about me. It's always about other people. It's always about caring for others. And when I started looking at Rh negatives, that's kind of what I found, along with them having, extra abilities. But I found that they were truth seekers and honest people. And they, out of all of the groups on Facebook, those are the Facebook groups that you're going to actually be able to have a discussion. You're going to be able to talk about what's going on. They don't shut you down. They don't typically get ignorant like so many other places. They are open-minded and are willing to discuss things. And then I started finding, which was by accident most of the time, other YouTubers like myself who are RH negative, like Jen from Xtremerealitycheck. She's RH negative, and she's done some really great information on, and I'm going to put a link to hers again if you want to go a little bit further in this, in the science of blood, because that's where you got to go. Where you want to find the truth, you got to go to the science. You got to go down deep. You got to look a little bit. Well, it's not really all that deep, because you know what? Truth really isn't as deep as you think it is. Usually truth is very simple to find. It's the world that makes it more complicated than it really needs to. Like staying healthy is really easy to do, but the pharmaceutical company makes it really hard to do, make it complicated, and they start going through all of this stuff that makes everybody think, oh, well, I can't do it myself, because, you know, you got to be a scientist to know about these things, and I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to listen to anybody unless they've got a science degree. And that's how they do it, to keep us ignorant, to keep us, because they make it complicated. And truth's usually never complicated. Truth is usually very simplistic. And, you know, it's like love thy neighbor, you know, kind of stuff like that. How do you stop war? Well, you love thy neighbor. You follow the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments will do you no wrong every time. It will save problems of everything that you can think of, because it really is, truth is simple. Okay. So I run across Jen from Xtremerealitycheck, and she's a you know, truther, and she just gets out there, and she loves God, and she has been doing this for many years. And I started finding many more other people like that. I started looking through their videos whenever I could kind of see that they truly were a truther. They didn't really have their philosophy that they wanted to teach. They just wanted to let people know what they've learned. And we'll go on from there. Let's just find out and learn together. That's kind of an indication of an RH negative person. And there's so many of them. Like, you know, Dana Ashley. I don't know if she is, but I'm assuming she is. I saw her on, I think it was Richie from Boston. They got into this conversation about, they asked her, what do you think, who are RH negative people? And she had the most interesting comment. She says, the chosen ones. And then it was just like somebody else started talking, and she didn't say anything. She didn't elaborate from that. So I thought that was an interesting comment that sounded like something an RH negative person would say. So I'm kind of assuming she is, but I don't have any proof and that she is. So anyways, there are a lot that are like me that talk about these things. And it's like my channel, mine's not monetized. I don't ask for money. This isn't what I'm doing it for. I'm not trying to get popular. Matter of fact, I don't like being out. This is hard for me to do, because RH negative on a whole get attacked, get ridiculed, get, you know, just even without anybody knowing that you're RH negative, it seems like there is spiritual attacks and physical attacks. You know, we kind of stay to ourselves because the world is extra dangerous for us. And it has been all my life. It's been extra dangerous. So I started looking at these people, and I started seeing the same qualities that I have. In almost every one of them, they have this curiousness, kindness, lovingness, truthfulness about them. And, you know, how could they be part of the people that are destroying us if they have all of these qualities and none of the qualities of what you would think Satan's seed would. And that's where, I'm hearing so much people saying, like, Zen Garcia and Rob Seba, they did a few months ago, they did a whole show on Rh negative people, and it was not flattering. It was regurgitating ancient aliens. It was regurgitating that whole premise that we don't know where they come from. And I'm going to get to that, because we do know where Rh negative come from. It is really simple. Like I said, truth is simple. But the lies get complicated. That's where the lie is. That's where the complication comes in. That's when, they always try to manipulate us into doing things their way. And what would be the reason for the elites and ancient aliens and all of these shows to say this about Rh negative? Could it be that they want a target on our back? Because you can't get to them, but sure can get to me, and you can get to Jen, and you can get to all the rest of us, because, we're here. And like I said, that's what they did to Jesus. They said that everything that he did was because of Satan. And that's one of the things that I hear a lot. Well, they've got special abilities, and because they have special abilities, they must have gotten them from Satan. They must have gotten them from an evil, sometimes, just like they did with Jesus. And, if you've been following, you know that I like reading some of the ancient literature and stuff, and God's people were special. It wasn't just Jesus. Last time we talked about Jesus from the book of the infancy of Mary, talked about how Jesus talked right after he was born. Well, he wasn't the only one. Moses talked too. Many other of the saints had extreme abilities back then. They had miracles that followed them around. They did things, parting the Red Sea, curing the healing the sick, and just think about all of the ones that came after Adam. They weren't ordinary people. They were extraordinary. So to say that because Rh negative people have extra senses, that makes them evil in somehow, is the same thing as saying that Jesus cured people because of Satan. Now, what I want to say right now is, like I said, I'm seeing this all over, this lie that's being spread about Rh negatives. Everywhere. It's on the mainstream, it's in the truth channels, it's on Facebook, it's everywhere. Well, we don't know where Rh negative came from. We don't know where that weird blood came from. Okay. Now here's where the simple science comes in. We know exactly where Rh negative comes from. We know exactly where O negative comes from. And we know how many people in the world possess this blood. Let's just put it this way. Let's go down and break down the blood cell. And I've done this before, so I do have other videos, but so if you want to actually see diagrams and that, I'm not doing that today, but O negative is, in the most simplistic terms, is the red blood cell. Nothing more, nothing less. It has nothing attached to it, and it is just your red blood cell. So it's like the base. It's the base ingredients that every human being is made out of. Without O negative, without the red blood cell, which is O negative, you wouldn't be a human. Okay, you would not be a human. So it's a human red blood cell. That's O negative. That's what I have. And that's all over in medical journals. It's so easy to find. Like I said, truth is simple. Truth is simple. So then there is these attachments that go on top of the red blood cell and sort of like get hooked into them. And they're like A and B and AB and the rhesus factor. And there are other antigens as well, like the D antigen, and there's few more that are there. But O has none of those attachments to it. It's just the base blood. And because it is such a pure form of the human blood, human red blood cell, it can be given to every human. You can take it, and your child can take it, unless you have like this strange rare blood that I think there's like 6 people in the whole world. They can't take O negative, but that's a mutation. Has nothing to do with nature. But the reverse is not the same with O negative. An O negative person cannot take anyone's blood but O negative, because it has been changed and manipulated just enough that now I'm going to have an autoimmune response to it, and it could kill me and probably would kill me. It's just like if you are a B, you can't take A blood because it's mutated, changed a little bit from yours, and your body will have an immune response and you will die. So this is where Jen from Extreme Reality, I'm going to put in the description, a link to hers, and she really goes into what attachments like the A, B, and AB and the rhesus factor are, what they do, what they cause, and how they actually are the culprit for a lot of diseases that we have. They're the culprit for taking away your energy and even bringing down your intelligence level and doing all of these kind of things to you. And this is proven through science. Suck your energy and create disease and help age faster. Things like that. And like I said, Jen from Xtremerealitycheck, she went into, she believes that they're like nanotechnology that is on top of it, sort of like a virus, something that's been implanted in our DNA, or like a virus has been implanted in us through injections, because truly that's the only way a virus can get into us. And when you start looking at viruses, you'll see that they look like they're little robots. They're nothing like what the description that you're seeing posted all over Facebook. That's not what a virus looks like. It's a completely different thing. The antigen that's on top of the red blood cell has the same quality. It's a nanotechnology that's on top of you. Okay, I'm going to embed some of Jen's from Xtremerealitycheck's video in here so that you can see what she has to say, but I do recommend that you go and watch the full video. Matter of fact, go to her channel. She's got some amazing stuff out there.
And another video that has tons of information on this nanotechnology that has been implanted in us. Again, if you haven't watched the last 2 videos that I've put up about the 100 missing stars and then the DMT dimensions, or the artificial dimensions, the black goo, programmable matter, then some of this information in this RH negative video is going to be lost on you. But if you watch all of these together and you can see the bigger picture, it's like, oh, I can see now. This video, the RH factor deception, the RH negative deception. This talks about the nanotechnology. Do you guys know what blood types are? What the RH negative and RH positive actually are? Well, I go through all of that in this video, and it's essentially, we don't have all different types of blood cells. Our blood cells are all exactly the same. What makes the difference in each blood type is how many of these nanotechnologies are stuck on the outside, on the coating of our red blood cells. Some of us have, there's like 4 or 5 I mean, there's multiple types. I don't know, probably over a dozen, when you get into really rare blood types. But the basic blood types, A, B, O, AB, that type of thing, there's like 4 basic nanotechnologies that we found have stuck on the coating of our red blood cells and are draining our energy. They're draining electricity from us, literally. Like, here's a quick diagram of the blood types, and you can see that they're all basically type O. All the blood cells are the same. If you have type A blood, that means you've tested positive for these nanotechnologies on your receptor sites. Type B is a different type of antigen. It's a different type of nanotechnology that is stuck on the coating, these receptor sites of the blood cell. AB means you test positive for both of those on your blood cells, and type O is the lack thereof. And it's the same way with negative. Rh negative and Rh positive is just another thing that they have found stuck on our blood cells, which they call the rhesus factor. So it's another one of these. So even if you're O, you can be O negative and O positive because there's another nanotechnology that can be found. And I explain all of that in this video. But I think the fact that I was speaking of nano, even though I called it nanotechnology in the video, might have been lost on people, or the enormity of what I was saying there might have been lost on people. If they hadn't, because actually I uploaded that months before I uploaded the artificial dimensions and the black goo, programmable matter, and all of the nanotechnology, chemtrails videos. So in hindsight, if you watch the Rh negative deception video, after you watch these, I think it'll be a lot more profound what's going on in humanity inside our bodies. And I wanted to bring it up again because not just in light of these, but in this final part of this series that I'm working on, I'm finishing up right now, I talk about the black goo and how these super soldiers, these whistleblowers, have talked about having this programmable matter injected into their bone marrow. And they didn't know why, but that's why, because blood cells are made in the marrow. But anyway, all of that is coming in this final part to this series that I'm finishing up right now. But
this is something I've looked into before, and I posted it, and then I always get people saying, this is not true, it can't be true. But it is true. You can change your blood type. They have enzymes now that will dissolve all of that off of it and make you into O. They're doing it in the laboratory so that they can make it a universal blood. So they're doing that. They're taking off the antigens so that all the blood that they have is O negative, so they can give it to everybody. And there's been many documented cases of people that either they went one way or another. They've either went positive or negative. And they've even had it where people have changed their blood types too, from A to O or O to B. This type of thing is not something that you are truly born with in its genetics. It's something that you have been given. Because we know that we have been manipulated and we've been changed, and we see what Elon Musk is doing, right? Like, he's trying to, these guys are all trying to propagate that we are not good as humans and we need to have more technology in us. We need to have all of this stuff. They're trying to make us into a hive mind cyborg kind of creature. And they've been doing this for a while. Don't think that they just started, in the last 10 years that their technology, they've had technology for a way longer than you can even imagine. They're working with angels. They're working with angel magic. They've had technology, and the thing that they want to do is they want to destroy God's people. They want to make sure that there's nothing natural, that there's no plants. Like, that's why we're seeing so much what's going on. They want to make sure that nothing is natural, nothing is... Satan, what he wanted right from the beginning, what was it? He wanted to have it his way. He wanted to have his creation. Well, he can't create living. He can't create anything living. Only God can do that. Only God can make man. So what does he do? He's the God of the airways, of the everything artificial. He's the God that's what he's trying to do. He's the God of the computer. He's on the computer. He's the ghost in the machine. And he's trying to change us. He's trying to change us into something like that. And eventually, he would want to get rid of us completely. And then there would just be androids, or whatever you want to call it, artificial intelligence, instead of a living, breathing human Hebrew that God created. And at the end of days, God said that he would shorten the days so his remnant wouldn't all be destroyed. Okay, like, it's not just talking about the spiritual remnant, because every single time that he did something, it wasn't just about the spiritual remnant, it was the physical remnant that he wanted to, like Noah. He wanted to save a genetic code, a genetic sequence, us. He wanted to save humans, Hebrews, the ones that aren't manipulated. And at that time, when God went looking, there was only a few people that had that pure, genetically pure people. And that was Noah, his sons, his wife, and I'm not even sure whether the women, the other wives were. There's some debate on that, whether they even were genetically pure, and that's where, we still have had things coming in. So when they say that we are Satan's seed, Rh negative are Satan's seed, and they start classifying us as that, it's completely not true. It's completely not true. We did not come from that. We have our abilities because we're closely, still not as badly manipulated as everyone else is, and we're just closer to that perfection, to the way God made us in the first place. And that's why we have our abilities. That's why we're not, if you take away the fluoride and the mercury that are in our silver fillings and all the chemtrails with the poisoning and all the poisoning in our food, genetically modifying, and all the Roundup and everything, you take away that, you're going to find that the IQ of the population is going to go up. Everybody's going to be a genius then. Everybody will be a genius then if you take away the poison, even if you keep the blood the way it is and you don't purify. But I believe that if you start doing things like MMS and, these kind of things that take out heavy metals and take out viruses that neutralize those viruses that they put into us through the shots that we got, I bet you more and more people are going to start going to O negative because it's our natural state. I hope I got through to you guys about what Rh negative is, so when you hear it next time that you will be wise. Because Rh negative is truly what you are, but you started from that. That's what your bloodline is. Whether there is a Satan seed bloodline, I don't know. There sure seems to be people that carry on evil traits, and a whole organization of people that do. All I know is who I am and what the blood says. And the blood says it's just human. It's the way God made us. It's closer to that. It doesn't have as much stuff on top of us that take away the abilities that you should have, that all of us should have. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now. Talk to you later. Live in love and light. Always seek truth. Never give in to the lie. And never just assume. Bye, everybody.